What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Magic Game World. Let's keep it real for a second. We are all stuck in the waiting room right now. It feels like it's been a lifetime since we first woke up on that cart in Skyrim, and I don't even want to think about how long it's been since Geralt hung up his swords. If you're a fan of high fantasy open worlds, deep lore, and that feeling of just getting lost in a map, the wait for the big titans like Elder Scrolls 6 honestly feels like an eternity. But I've got good news. The wait is finally paying off. We are officially entering a golden age of RPGs, and developers are stepping up to fill that massive void. From hyper-realistic medieval sims to stylized magical sandboxes, this year's lineup is looking absolutely stacked. Now, obviously, game dev is unpredictable, so a few of these might slip into next year, but right now, the release schedule is looking incredible. So let's break down the games that are finally going to fill that massive hole in your library. We have to kick things off with Alkahest, mainly because it's bringing back a specific style of gameplay we haven't seen in years. If you're the type of player who loved the physics chaos in Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, or the grounded realism of Kingdom Come Deliverance, this is the one you need to watch out for this year. You aren't playing as some prophesized god hero here. You're just the youngest son of a petty lord in a murky kingdom called Cadanor, trying to prove you aren't useless. The devs are calling this grounded fantasy. That means no flashy fireballs. Instead, they built a deep alchemy system where you're brewing bombs, weapon oils, or sneaking poisons into an NPC's pocket. But the gameplay loop is the real hook. It's highly interactive. You can drop trees on goblins, kick them off cliffs, or set the environment on fire. It's a semi-open world that prioritizes quality over quantity, so no bloat, just pure physics-based chaos. But if messing around with physics on the ground feels a little too small scale for you, how about we take things to the skies? Sagas of Lumin is doing something we rarely see in this genre. We've had plenty of games with dragons, but usually the flying feels like you're on rails or just a glorified taxi service. This game is promising dragon flight that actually feels alive. You have full manual control, climbing, diving, hovering, and executing sharp turns. You can torch enemy bases or literally drag soldiers into the sky and let the gravity do the rest. But you aren't glued to the saddle. You can land and fight on the ground using a really unique mix of melee weapons, magic, and this is the cool part, steampunk firearms. They are aiming to drop this early this year, and the story is branching with no cliche good versus evil tropes. If you want that full Dragon Rider fantasy where you actually control the beast, you gotta keep this on your radar for the next few months. Now, while that is a brand new IP, this next title is the return of the absolute grandfather of the Living World RPG. The Gothic 1 Remake is finally bringing us back to the Valley of the Mines. If you never played the original back in 2001, you missed the game that basically invented the concept of an ecosystem where NPCs sleep, work, and interact with each other. In this remake, you're thrown into a prison colony surrounded by a magical barrier. The king needs ore for the war effort, and you are trapped in the mines with the worst criminals in the realm. What made Gothic special, and what they're keeping here, is that the world doesn't care about you. If you annoy someone, they will just beat you up. The remake is rebuilding everything in Unreal Engine 5 and modernizing the combat, but it's keeping that hardcore, unrestricted exploration. It's gritty, it's tough, and it respects your intelligence. Now, Gothic is famous for its sprawling open colony, but sometimes you don't want a massive map. Sometimes you want an experience that is a bit more focused and handcrafted. That is where Fatekeeper comes in. This is for the people who are tired of massive, empty, procedurally generated worlds. The developers here are building a strictly handcrafted environment where you explore ruins, ancient battlegrounds, and crumbling sanctuaries in first person. It's got that classic sword and sorcery vibe. The combat is reactive. You have to actually block, parry, and mix in your spells with precision. I really like the progression system here because it's not just about stat padding. Your build changes how you play. Whether you want to be a heavy tank or a glass cannon sorcerer, it looks atmospheric, focused, and perfect for dungeon crawler fans. Those games are great if you have twitchy reflexes, but for the strategists out there who prefer to think before they strike, we need to talk about Solasta 2. If Baldur's Gate 3 left you hungry for more faithful D&D mechanics, Solasta is the answer. The first game was a cult classic because it translated the D&D 5th edition rules almost perfectly. For the sequel, they're going much bigger. You'll guide a party of 4 to a new continent called Neocoast to face a brand new threat. But the massive upgrade this time is the exploration. The first game was pretty linear, but the sequel introduces a fully free-roaming world map. You can finally wander off the beaten path and explore at your own pace. They're keeping the core promise. You make the choices, but the dice decide your destiny. If you love tactical CRPGs, this is a safe bet to watch out for later this year or maybe early next year. Okay, enough thinking and dice rolling. Let's pivot to something that is pure adrenaline-fueled chaos. Unawake looks like Doom collided with Skyrim inside Unreal Engine 5. It is gorgeous and it is absolutely brutal. You play as an Unawake in the middle of an eternal war between angels and demons that has spilled over into the human world. The focus here is frantic first-person melee action. You'll be dual-wielding weapons, using warhammers, and customizing your gear with elemental effects. It's not just hack and slash though. The combat is tactical, and the enemies actually adapt to your playstyle. It's got a huge loot system and experience-based leveling. If you just want to rip and tear through a dark fantasy apocalypse with next-gen graphics, this is the one. We are finally going back to Albion in Fable. Playground Games is rebooting the franchise, and honestly, they nailed the tone in the trailers. It's funny, it's British, and yes, there are chickens. It's a living open world where your reputation is everything. You can be a noble hero, or you can be a total menace. You can get rich as a landlord, romance half the village, or just cause problems. The devs have explicitly said fairy tale endings are not guaranteed. Your choices actually matter here. If you need a break from the super serious, grimdark RPGs on this list, Fable is going to be that perfect, chaotic palate cleanser. Now, Fable has that stylized look, but if you are looking for absolute graphical fidelity, like melting your GPU levels of detail, you have to see Crimson Desert. This is an open-world action-adventure that follows Cliff, a mercenary leader trying to rebuild his crew after a brutal ambush. The combat in this looks insane. It's visceral. We're talking wrestling moves, environmental attacks, and really heavy swordplay. But the exploration is just as wild. You can scale cliffs, glide through the air, and ride everything from horses to dragons. The world of Pywell is massive. Deserts, snowy mountains, busy cities. If you loved the wandering mercenary vibe of The Witcher 3 but want combat that feels even more physical and modern, this is the one to watch. Fingers crossed this sticks to its release window this year because it looks unbelievable.
While Crimson Desert offers total freedom, this next title adds a mechanic that makes the world feel much more dangerous, a ticking clock. The Blood of Dawnwalker is a fascinating mix of history and horror. This is set in 14th century Europe, right during the Black Death. You play as Cohen, a guy who is human by day and a vampire by night. That duality is the main mechanic. During the day, you use swords and magic. At night, you get brutal supernatural powers and can defy gravity. But here's the kicker: the world doesn't wait for you. Every time you take a quest, time moves forward. You literally cannot save everyone. You have to choose who to help and who to leave behind. It adds a layer of stress and consequence that most RPGs are too scared to try, and I love it. Finally, let's leave the standard European medieval castles behind for a setting we almost never see in this genre. Loulan: The Cursed Sand is an action RPG set on the ancient Silk Road in China. It looks refreshing. You play as a skeletal warrior searching for a lost princess. It's played from a top-down perspective, but the combat is grounded and realistic. You aren't just mowing down hundreds of enemies like a god. You have to be smart. The cool hook is that you can switch between a bone form and a sand form to solve puzzles and fight differently. It's a tragedy, it's atmospheric, and it's a hidden gem that deserves way more attention. So, from dragon riding sims to historical vampire epics, we are eating good this year. And even if a couple of these slide into next year, the future of the genre is looking incredibly bright. I'm personally most hyped for the physics chaos in Alkahest and the sheer scale of Crimson Desert, but I want to know what you guys think. Which one of these is a day one buy for you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe to Magic Game World for more RPG content, and I'll catch you in the next one.